Happy New Year! Welcome, everybody. Green Effect Podcast, live on the air. We are switching. It's 2024. We're going to make this season 4. Congratulations. We are at the season premiere. Okay. Green Effect Podcast. So, season 4, episode 1. This is a how to get ready for 2024 in the world, basically. Okay. Because we got a lot of stuff that's going on. 2023, let's face it, was kind of a hodgepodge of who knows, you know what, okay? So let's get right into it. I want to talk about 2024, what's happening. First of all, I hope you all had a safe and happy holiday. It was, I know for me, I haven't done a podcast in a couple of weeks. I shut it down, man. I needed a break. We saw some family, but we really did kind of take off for a bit and just try to unwind. Like 2023, I know for me, obviously, I switched from banker to broker, started up a team, all that stuff. So it was busy, right? 2023 was a crazy time. So we're hoping 2024, but we were hoping we could kind of recharge our batteries a little bit over the holiday and then just kind of get ready for 2024. So that's what we did. I needed a break, man. Seriously, it was a crazy year, right? Crazy year. So, not only personally, but obviously with the market and mortgages and rates and the economy and whatever. So this episode is really just to get ready for 2024, so you kind of know what's coming down the pipe a little bit. And as you know, whatever we talk about today will probably change. Okay, so let's get right into it, man. 2024. It's going to be interesting, I think. And I don't know, you guys know how I am. I'm a combination of glass half full, glass half empty a little bit, but I think 2024 is going to be really exciting. Okay, because I think we've seen the dip a little bit now with everything in the economy. So I think we're going to see. Um, I don't think we're going to see inflation drop a whole heck of a lot. I think inflation is sticky at around that 3%. I don't know how it can go any lower, right? It could, for sure. It definitely could, but I just don't see that happening, right? And I think we're going to see the first half of 2024. It's going to be softer, but I think it's going to be a lot of work. Okay, so I think a lot of people, and I saw it so I'm recording this on January 7th. Last week, which is the week between New Year's and people going back, so the second week of kids being off school, I got a lot of phone calls and emails. A lot of realtors, a lot of clients calling, hey, let's get in and get a pre-approval done. Let's see what it looks like now. Rates are lower. I think one day in a span of 4 hours, I received 5 different referrals in for clients who are now looking for homes as part of 2024. Sorry, I just had a smoothie, and that's like podcasting fail 101. Don't have milk products before you start your podcast. But I was like, screw it, it's my podcast. I'll make it up as I go. Anyway, so if you hear me clear my throat nonstop, that's what it is. So, so it's definitely, I think the first half is going to be a lot of what can on the sales side. What can we get for our house? Is it worth it now to sell and then buy? Right. So I think that's what 24, the first half, is going to be. Finding out what people could get approved for, and find out how much they can sell their house for. And then it's going to be a bit of a jockeying for position as we go into the second half of 2024, which is where I really think we're going to see traction. What I mean by traction is we're going to see lower rates. I've posted this on social media. Okay, it went out this week, for example. Every expectation based on markets, consumer sentiment, stuff like that, is we are going to see 2 things. We're going to see most likely Tiffy Boy at the B.O.C. bringing down the prime lending rate, okay, because everything's halted. Like, we are at a standstill with everything right now. And I think he's going to now have to go the other way and maybe start to stimulate the economy a little bit just to get things moving. The other side of it too, though, is on the fixed rate side, we're probably going to see fixed rates continue to come down. So the last 6 weeks, folks, bond prices have come down significantly. And those savings, surprisingly enough, has been passed on to the consumer with lower fixed rates. Okay. The last 6 weeks, we have some lenders that have dropped rates almost 85 basis points. For those of you who don't know what a basis point is, it's basically 0.85%, which is significant with all things considered. Okay. So I think that just like the higher rates have taken time to trickle through the system, I think we're going to see the lower fixed and prime lending rates also trickle through the system. Okay. I just think that's what he's going to have to do. And, unemployment numbers came out. They're pretty much stable. Like it's not moving, right? I haven't looked at the debt to income ratios in the country, but I'm pretty sure that hasn't moved very much at all. So I think with his change in pace or his about face, we'll say, on interest rates, and what's his name in the US? What's the US federal finance minister? US Fed. Jerome Powell, that guy. He almost kind of looks like Tiffy Boy without glasses. He's got to be taller though. Tiffy Boy seems like the 5'2" kid in the back of the class. Anyway, so even Jerome Powell came out with a shocker before Christmas and said, instead of taking the strong stance that he took or has taken, saying we are going to raise rates until that inflation gets down to 2%. Well, they're not at 2%, but he came out and he said, we're probably going to see an easing on rates going into 2024. Like that took the world by storm. Now, why do we care about the US and what they're doing? They're our biggest trade partner. So what they do, we often have to do, right? So their choices and decisions directly impact what's happening in Canada. We almost got to watch them as closely as we do Tiffy Boy and his cast of merry men, right? To see what's going to happen going forward in the economy. Okay. So again, it's going to take some time, right? But we're talking mortgages. So when we're talking about real estate and getting deals approved, usually it's roughly a 90-day lag, we'll say, right? So we'll see what happens as these rates come down. And remember this is important. We are a country of feeling good. I posted on social media, if not, I did it in a presentation where I basically showed that, hey, consumer sentiment's going up. That means we're feeling good about things, right? This is important to understand. So, all right. So that's where I kind of see rates going. We could see people like, what do you think rates are going to go down to? This is important. So define what rates coming down means. Okay. Are we going to see 2% again? Hell no, we're not going to see 2%. Okay. Maybe my grandkids might see that again, but by that time we'll be living in they will be living in pods or something like that. But if we can get down, I believe the speculation right now is prime could come down from the 5% right now, overnight bank rate 5% down to about 3.75. I heard someone this morning say 3.5. It's like I'm not too sure that's going to happen, but we could see rates. I think if we get fixed rates down to a consistent 4 to 4.5, that's actually kind of healthy, to be honest with you, right? Then we're qualifying people at 6%. If I can see the bank prime lending rate come down, so right now it's 7.2, if we can see a 6.2 or a 6, so the bank lending rate down to 3.75-ish, I don't think we're in bad shape. I just don't think we're in bad shape with that. Okay, so again, we'll see what happens, but ask yourself what rates coming down means to you. Okay, to kind of further along with this, we have record numbers of mortgages coming up for renewal in 2025, 2026, like record numbers, like 25-30% or something like that each year. 2024 is, I think, about 20-ish%, but that's going to impact as well. So if all these people are renewing into higher rate mortgages, that could possibly force the sale of some homes, right? If they can't afford it anymore. And just to throw another log onto the fire, we have a lot of static mortgage payments. So every bank except Scotia and National, where if prime moves, the amount towards principal and interest will go up or down, but the payment stays the same. Well, those people have been floating through the last 3 or 4 years, last 2 years. So when those come up, they're going to have some huge sticker shock, right? Anyway, I'm just kind of throwing different things on the pile here, all relative to rates and stuff we're going to see in 2024. So it'll be exciting. Follow me on social media. Like if you want to know what's going on, follow me on social media so you can see what's happening. Okay. Okay, a couple of other little things that we got to kind of talk about to really understand what's going to happen in the economy. All right. So this is not good news in my humble opinion. HSBC. So HSBC is is a large international bank, but they have divisions, I'm sure, in probably all countries or close to it. But they do have an HSBC Canada division, we'll say. So HSBC has been bought by RBC. It took a while for this to be approved. And of course, Disney Plus lady jumped into the thing and did the final approval and said, yep, RBC can purchase HSBC. Well, here's the problem with that. All right. And I'm not saying this, I'm a former RBC person, but just like the telcos or telecoms, whatever you want to call them, this is just going to provide less options for clients. Okay. HSBC right now is hugely competitive on rates. That helps people. Now that they're owned by RBC, I got news for you. That's going away. Right? HSBC in the broker channel right now is known for incredible rates for their clients. Okay. Now they're owned by RBC, and it's going to take a while for this to trickle through as well. It's not just going to happen tomorrow, but now that they're owned by RBC, now consumers have less options, right? And I know big picture, our banks struggle on the world stage. I get it. I'm guessing though, RBC is not really buying them necessarily for the mortgage market, probably more for their investor market, and all the investments that they have. And of course, the fact that they are a world bank. All right. But this is not good news for consumers. It's just less choice, right? Same way we bitch and complain about the telecom companies and paying all the money that we're doing with cell phones. It's the same issue with banking, right? HSBC was taking a chunk because they were competitive on rates with clients. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I don't think it's a great day. I'm sure I've seen RBC people on LinkedIn being super excited. This is not a good day, right? So anyway, HSBC, and this is going to impact the economy going forward. And we look at cell phones. This is what I have become with my cell phones. And my wife and daughter are just losing their minds. But you know what? I don't care. They don't listen to this podcast, so I can say that. We own our phones outright. Part of it is a business expense, right? Honestly, we switch cell phone providers every 6 months. If I can get a cheaper, better deal, I switch. I don't care. I'll take the time, right? We have eSIMs now. They send out the SIM card, whatever. Dude, I'm not. I'm going after the best price for it because it's just so damn expensive. And when I see what other countries do relative to telecom, I'm not cool with this, right? I'm not cool with paying. I remember at one point, folks, we had 4 cell phones. Okay, 2 kids, 2 adults. I was paying like $300-400 a month, man. That is not cool at all. Like your phone bill should not be, as a family, should not be the same as your car payment. Depending on what your car payment is, of course, right? So this is the same thing, right? People are. It's just not good if clients, if customers don't have choice. That's a different type of impact to the economy. So, all right, 2 more things. So, international students, man, I'm torn on this. The government has come out and indicated that international students must now have a higher amount of money saved up before they enter the country to go to school. I didn't even know this. Okay. And I am naive because I was born here. I don't know the international student rules and stuff like that, or even immigration process and stuff. So I will admit I'm a little bit naive with that. So with international students right now, they're supposed to bring in enough money so that they are not an impact to our economy. And all this shit hit the fan a month or 2 ago when a food bank in Brampton basically said, if you're an international student, don't come here. You're not allowed to come here because you're an international student. You're not supposed to be using our food banks. You're supposed to be completely self-sufficient. So this all hit the fan. combined with the fact that we have universities that are pretty much floating themselves on international students based on the amount of tuition that they charge. Okay. And listen, my son goes to Conestoga, okay, and I think he's the only one of the two or three non-international students in his class, right? And Conestoga is totally known for um, a lot of international students because of the great programs that they have, right? So I think Conestoga is one of those universities that just floating themselves off of this. Anyway, will that increase or decrease housing issues? I don't know. Maybe, right? I think it's more an issue of the economy than anything, because a lot of the international students that come in end up becoming permanent residents, which is great. If they're here and they're highly educated, then that means they're bringing something to the economy, right? And they're paying taxes. At the end of the day, you want immigration where folks are paying taxes towards the well-being of the country, right? That's really the goal for immigration, right? So again, I don't know if this is going to make, break, or change anything, but international students are a big piece to the pie here in Canada. What happens when we have less? That'll definitely impact immigration numbers for sure. If we have less immigrant students coming in or international students coming in, our immigration numbers come down. And then all of a sudden, the folks that are here will have additional places to live, I think, right? Is that how it's supposed to work? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Finally, man, on the topic of, I don't think this is going to fucking work. I don't know if there's another way to put this. Will the Airbnb bans actually help the economy? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Airbnb was always supposed to be ma and pa renting out their home. Okay, a room or two, make some money, right? Maybe have a home where you live in and you maybe have a basement apartment. That's what it was supposed to be. Okay. It became this monstrosity business where people have 12, 15, 20 Airbnbs, hundreds. There's Airbnb arbitrage, which I'm not going into. Google it. You can learn all about it. It became a beast. Now, who's impacted with Airbnb? Okay. Yeah, there's some housing inventory that's impacted. Hotels are definitely impacted, right? If I'm going for a longer term trip, I want to stay in an Airbnb with a full kitchen, a laundry, like I'm actually staying at a house, right? As opposed to a hotel. So hotels are losing for sure. But the Airbnb thing, it really is, the thought is there's a lot of short term rentals. Can these short term rentals be inventory reintroduced to the market to either be sold as single family homes or rental units for long term rentals? Okay, so things that have happened, federal government's come out and basically said if you have a short term rental, you cannot deduct any expenses on your taxes. So when you have a rental, short term or otherwise, money comes in from rental income. Simple. And then you deduct your expenses, which brings down your taxable income. Very, very simple. Okay. And then that, of course, could generate a tax return, and just keeps your expenses low so you pay less taxes. Well, now, if you're making all this money on short-term rentals, you can't deduct any expenses. You pay 50 grand, or you get 50 grand in income, you pay 50 grand on taxes. Like you pay taxes based on 50 grand as opposed to deducting it with all the expenses and getting it down to 10, 15, whatever. Okay. That's huge. That is really big for a lot of people. Okay. So that's one thing that's happened. The other thing that's happened is, like, B.C., for example, has banned them completely. A lot of places have banned it completely, like in municipalities, provinces, stuff like that. So it's going the way of the dodo. Now, let's understand something. We're all human. So guess what's going to happen here? Very, very simple. It's just going to go underground, right? But let's face it. People won't put it up on Airbnb. They're just going to do their own website, right? Right? Well, yeah, sure. Pay me $1,000 under the table. Who cares, right? This is what's going to happen. Let's just call it what it is, right? And there's a lot of bad press around Airbnb with, fires and things are illegal and stuff like that. it's just going to go underground. Let's just call it what it is, right? Is it really going to help that much? Nah, probably not. I don't think so. Maybe a little bit in isolated areas, but I don't think so. Here's what's going to happen. If I got a short term rental and it's super nice, don't forget, these Airbnbs, some of them are done to the nines. And I've got an executive Airbnb or whatever you want to call it. I'm renting that out for top dollar anyway. So walk me through how this makes sense, right? Now, having said that, do I think they need to treat Airbnb rentals more as a business as opposed to a long-term rental? Let me explain. Long-term rental, yes, you deduct your full expenses minus your rent, and that's what you're taxed on income-wise. For a short-term rental, should it not be something like half the expenses, or you got to report, you pay a bit of a higher tax? Don't kill it. I know what all the hotel chains are doing. They're like, hallelujah, thank God, Airbnb's dead, right? Hotels, I'm sure, are going to be crazy busy because now hotels are going to go up in price, right? Why wouldn't you? There's less demand, there's less supply. I can now jack up my hotel rates. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Okay. And one more thing on the topic of this thing should more be like a business type transaction with an Airbnb. Yeah, you got the Airbnb, and I proposed maybe half your expenses or three quarters or whatever, right? Here's something else that's going to happen this year, and I don't think people are talking about this. Okay. I know people are not talking about this. Mark my words, people are not talking about this. If you have a property that's 100% Airbnb, 100%, it's deemed a commercial property in the eyes of CRA. You got to pay HST separate. So if I'm a buyer and I don't know that the property was an Airbnb, I might be on the hook for HST. I don't know how that works or how they're going to enforce it. Because again, you got rules you can't enforce, whatever. But I've seen in the past, before Airbnb was an issue, when people had it full-time Airbnb, I saw it on offers where they swung it where the buyer had to pay the HST. Like, we don't see this coming. I think in the back of my mind, in the back of JT's mind, maybe he's like, you know what? Tell him to sell these things. We're going to make a mint off friggin' HST selling these 100% rentals, 100% Airbnb rentals. Like, people are not talking about this, right? We better be talking about this. This is really important. So, this is the kind of shit 2024 is going to bring, okay? Rates probably coming down, stuff happening towards the end of the year, international students, Airbnb, mortgage rates. It's going to be fascinating. My prediction is 2024 is going to be back to relative normality in Canada, slowly but surely. Okay. That's my hope. That's where my fingers are crossed. I would recommend you keep your fingers and toes crossed, and we just might get there. Okay. Anyway, that's my 2024 thoughts and predictions, right? Who knows? These are probably all going to be wrong anyway. So, fuck, who cares? Let's see what happens, okay? Anyway, you know the drill. Like me, love me, follow me, desire me, want me, 5 stars, likes and follows and shares and blah, blah, blah. All that fun stuff. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Talk to you next week.